Energy companies powered through the second quarter on the back of strong demand after COVID lockdowns. Q2 profits surged 94% year-on-year as activity picked up. The stock, though, ended in the red post-earnings. And that's because, from a 12-month perspective, it's done quite okay for itself. And this one is an integrated power player in India. Praveer Sinha is CEO and MD of Tata Power, joining us live from Mumbai with an outlook for the business. So good to have you on the show, Mr. Sinha. Glad that you could join us. You have seen growth across segments, whether it's generation, transmission, distribution, and renewable energy. I want to understand, what is going to be your focus area going forward? Because at this time, there is obviously a bit of an energy crisis that the world is facing. And I want to know that in India, how is the energy market behaving?
Good morning, and thank you for having me on the show. You rightly mentioned that Tata Power is an integrated power company, and right through in all our businesses, we've done well. And you would see this is the 12th consecutive quarter in which we have shown a growth in our PAT. And I think what is important is to understand that the foundation of this company is very good. Our existing operations in conventional generation, whether it is coal-based or it is gas or hydro, has been doing consistently good. And we expect that going forward, we will continue to provide very steady performance in all these areas to ensure that it generates enough cash for the growth business that we have. For our growth business, we've identified renewable business. We added nearly 625 megawatt capacity during this period, part of it for ourselves and part of it as a third-party EPC. And similarly, in our rooftop business, we've done consistently very well. We've had a revenue of nearly 600 crores in this quarter. And I think going forward with the type of order book that we have, we will be able to enhance it in Q3 and Q4. We also expect our distribution business to do very well. The Odisha Discoms, where we took over about 1.5 to 2 years back, each one of the distribution companies have been doing exceedingly well. And I do expect that going forward, many of the challenges that we had in the network or the billing solutions or customer solutions and cleaning up that we have done over there in terms of the way the billing was being done and the collection was being done, we will only be able to improve our performance going forward. So I think clearly two focus areas: renewable, a lot of capacity additions are in the pipeline. We have an operating plant of nearly 3,800 megawatt. Another 1,700 are in different stages of implementation. They will all get completed in next 6 months to 12 months. We will see huge traction in our rooftop and solar pump business. And of course, the distribution will become more stable and much better consistent performance going forward. So all in all, I would say that...
So I know the overall outlook may look very positive, but I wanted to understand how's the funding environment when it comes to the transition to clean energy? Because obviously rates are rising, cost of capital is going up, and I think we spoke about this earlier on as well. I don't know how much does that match up to demand for renewable energy at this stage.
So I think the funding environment and the investment environment in the country is very good. I think the government policies have been very supportive of renewable energy. India's plan to have nearly 350 gigawatt of capacity addition in next 8 years up to 2030 is a humongous task. And I think all the entities who are players in this, whether they are in manufacturing of solar cells and modules, or they are into setting up of greenfield projects, they would do very well. We are seeing huge amount of traction also in terms of investment. Globally, the investors are looking at emerging markets apart from China, which are the other countries in Southeast Asia. And India, of course, is a very important part of the global supply chain and the global clean energy solutions that will come. So I think India will play a very, very critical role going forward.
Right. I also want to understand right now, how worried are you about the slowdown risk in India?
Not really. I think we have taken a lot of good steps. The results will start coming possibly in next 6 to 12 months, but I think we have all the ingredients to make this become very, very strong and powerful in the coming quarters.
Sir, I also want to understand, what about your plans to invest and expand globally and internationally at this stage, and also the back-end supplies? Obviously, a lot of power companies have been talking about supply challenges on especially the coal side. How are you looking at addressing those challenges in the wake of expanding globally?
Well, at present, we have no plans to expand globally. In fact, we have been divesting all our investments outside, because what we find is the opportunities in the country are huge. And I don't think the type of ambitious plans India has, both in large utility scale as well as decentralized generation in rooftop and solar pumps and the microgrids, I don't find that sort of excitement in other parts of the world. So our focus right now is in India, and we are taking all steps towards adding capacity. Also, we are in the process of setting up a large manufacturing facility, a 4 gigawatt solar cell and module manufacturing. This will add to our existing 500 megawatt of solar cell and manufacturing, which we have been doing for last many years. And I think to address the challenge of global supply chain, India is committed to add huge capacity in the coming years. In fact, in the pipeline is nearly 30 gigawatt of manufacturing that will come up in next 12 months to 24 months. So I think we will become to a very large extent self-sufficient in our cell and module manufacturing. Of course, upstream, there would be still challenges, but I think slowly over a period of time, we will be able to meet the total ecosystem of manufacturing and supply chain that is required in the country.
Mr. Sinha, you're obviously spending a lot of money in terms of developing out renewables, but a lot of, I suppose, the coal miners and that we speak to suggest that there is still going to be that requisite demand moving forward for a considerable amount of time when it does come to still having coal-fired power plants, still having these gas-fired plants. How long do you think it's going to take, or do you have plans for Tata Power to completely shift to 100% renewables, or is that just an unrealistic set of circumstances?
This is not unrealistic. In fact, Tata Power was the first power utility in the country to say that we'll become net zero by 2050, which we have subsequently improved. And we are now committed to 2045 or a little before that. We have existing power purchase agreements. So once they get completed, we will decommission some of the coal-based plants. So we are committed to transition from the existing coal-based to non-carbon generation, which will be typically the renewable and hydro. We are also looking at opportunities of related areas in terms of putting up large storage plants, hydrogen plants, to make the infirm power firm. And what we need to understand is that there would be a transition. It cannot happen immediately, but I think in next 10 to 20 years, most of the existing plants, the coal-based plants, will transition and it will get decommissioned. And we will have an economy which will be more on renewable power. We, of course, will have to look at some of the other areas in terms of nuclear power and some gas-based, some of the new technologies which are coming up, especially in the space of nuclear fusion, plasma technology. I think we'll have very interesting solutions going forward.
Yeah, and what initiatives are you taking on that front, Mr. Sinha? Are you earmarking some money to invest in nuclear fusion plants? I think the key talking point is safety versus productivity in that case.
Absolutely right. I think many of these new technologies are still in the lab, and we are working with some of the research institutions globally to see that how from lab we can bring them to the market. We have a tie-up with MIT and some of the other institutions globally who are doing pioneering work in these spaces. And I think we will be the first one in the country to come up with these solutions as soon as they are ready. So we will be earmarking huge amount of capital, but at this stage, we still have to do the pilot projects and make them commercially viable.
I know this may not be a big story that impacts the business in a big way, but even so, you know, the whole talk about this ransomware gang leaking data stolen during Tata Power cyber attack. How do you react to that? Because, you know, at a business level, especially in a downturn, one would worry about more such break-ins into systems where data is stored.
This was an unfortunate incident where we had the attack. Fortunately, our operational system, OT system, was safe. Some of our IT systems got impacted, but we were able to retrieve most of it within 48 to 72 hours, and it's back to normal. But this is a challenge, and we need to be extra cautious and careful because new type of ransomwares and new type of impacts are coming in, and we need to come up with solutions to ensure that in the future we can prevent these type of attacks. So we are very confident that going forward we will be using the best-in-class and state-of-art technologies to prevent that sort of incidents. And having seen how this impacted our business, we will be taking all preventive measures in future.
Yeah, I think cybersecurity is the need of the hour. Mr. Sinha, thank you very much for sparing the time, and congratulations on a great set of earnings. Wish you the very best.
Thank you very much. Thank you.
And if you're just tuning in, here's a quick reminder of what you missed in the show. Jake Dollahide says Musk has a tough task growing Twitter's ad business and getting new users, but he thinks if anyone can do it, it is Musk.